Thanks for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. You can find us wherever you find podcasts or listen to music. When you have an opportunity, please give us a 5-star review, write a little note, tell us how we're doing. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep this thing going. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us at Facebook at Hidden Tracks. Instagram is at HiddenTracks99, and if you'd like to send in submissions or talk to us or give us any feedback about what we're doing, our email is myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to another edition of Hidden Tracks. This week, my guest is Tyler Miller. He is the guitarist for Voice of Addiction, and he also has a new solo project coming out, I believe, in a week. It's called Trying to Get By. His first single is called Oh No. I'd like to welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, Tyler.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Tyler Miller. Just a little typo there, probably.
Yeah.
How's it going?
All right, man. Thanks. After some troubles, we got this going, so I'm exhilarated now to...
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So let's get down into it. Trying to Get By. What brought you to do a little solo project?
So I was bouncing around a lot between trying to tour with everybody and just trying to stay on the road for as long as I could. And I started writing these songs on the side while I was touring with Some Kind of Nightmare. I was out on the road with them for about 9 months playing drums. And I just kind of started writing these songs just as a way to keep myself sane, that I'm still writing something. And they became something I would just start to do on the side. And it became something I used to use to get from San Diego to North Carolina for like between 2 tours. Just DIY busking half the time and then playing shows with it. It all became like a collaborative project, though, with other musicians in different cities between San Diego, Nashville, and Chicago.
And it's got the ska feel to it, ska sound. Is that, different than bands? You play the more punk, and even though ska and punk kind of meld together into one virtual sound, growing up with it for me was Op Ivy and the Specials and stuff like that. So is that your genre that you enjoy the most? Because usually when you do a solo project, it's something that you're extremely passionate about.
Well, I've done a couple other EPs for this. So it started off as like a pop punk thing, and then I did an acoustic solo album that was recorded in 30 days before the tour that was booked 30 days prior to it actually starting. That was called Spend Your Rent on Gasoline. That was more like a folk punk album. And then, so it's crossing over multiple genres as each EP comes out. But as this one landed, I feel like this is the sound that I've been trying to get for a while as far as ska punk and hip hop lyrically, mashing together to make something. I feel like I finally nailed like what I've been after with all these different sounds I've done with Trying to Get By over the past 4 years.
That's awesome. Is punk your first love?
Yeah. Yeah, hands down. It's all based off of punk. All the Trying to Get By songs really are. Like folk punk, the pop punk, the thrash punk, ska punk. I don't know. I sound really predictable,
Well, listen, there's a lot of people who play music who, the style of music they play is not their first love of music, which sometimes to me it seems a little weird, but I understand it from that perspective as well.
Oh yeah, I've always, I've played in so many different kinds of bands over the years, but they all, range from my loves and different influences of things, ranging from hip hop and reggae, but all falls back to punk rock as well. Just because probably the way I live my life, a lot of DIY ethics as far as everything I've gone through. They used to run a music festival that was completely DIY. I had a DIY booking company back in the day that I ran. Just for about 5 years, I booked about 660 touring acts in those 5 years. It was all DIY, no monetary sponsors or anything. So I just kind of feel like I've just been staying true to the whole punk morality, if there is any such thing, my whole life.
Yeah, and punk isn't what I mean. Sometimes I get a little guarded when it comes to that true punk rock, which is DIY, and it's not what people think, where it's the shiny, overblown Blink 182, Green Day stuff that everybody, which
Mhm.
could have brought a lot of people into punk rock, in today's day and age. But it's not. That's not what it is. That's not what it was. That's not, you
Yeah.
know, that shiny bubblegum punk rock is completely different than what true punk is.
Well, I say that, and also like how people go about their music and how they go about themselves as a band and their identity as a whole as well. Kind of affects that. Like say how they just go about themselves, whatever. You know, I don't know how to really put that, but uh, yeah, let's just say that.
So when you were growing up, music grabs you at a certain point in your life. For me, I was a very small child, and I heard something that was completely different than the shit I had to sing in music class in grade school, and um, Sesame Street and cartoon theme songs. And I heard a song by a band that literally drove me to music. Did you have that moment? Do you remember? And if so, do you remember what you heard that
Oh
completely
man.
changed your basically as a childhood into music?
Oh man. So it probably was the bubblegum pop. I don't know. My mom gave me a Green Day Dookie CD when I was really young, with No Doubt, Rocksteady, or Traction Kingdom actually, um, which are still two of my favorite albums. But that might have had some kind of influence on it. But I think it was around the time that I heard the Clash somewhere, and I just started like trying to find more music by them, and it was like the Clash, and then I found the Ramones, and so it kind of started kind of classic for me, which is like, yeah, I didn't really grow up with the ability to go down to a record store and like look for punk records or something. I grew up in a really small town, Bryan County, Tennessee, uh, less than 9,000 people or something like that in the whole county. Uh, it was a very small corn yard, bean field, backyard, front yard kind of deal. Um, so finding punk rock and stuff at a young age was like really, it meant a lot to me. It was like something I was like, wow, this is so much cooler than the corn yard. So yeah, I mean, it kind of jumped out at me at a young age, but I remember the Unseen was a big thing for me too. That got me into street punk. That made me kind of like be like, I want to be different. I want to spike my hair. And, at 12 years old, I was like, yes, this is everything. So there was probably the mix between the Unseen and the classic or more classic rock and roll sounds of like the Ramones and the Clash for sure.
Now, growing up in such a small town, how did you? I mean, how did you grow into finding other stuff? I mean, because at that time, I mean, if your mom's handing you a Green Day CD, I mean, the internet's in its infancy, and it's hard to find stuff. And I was very blessed to have a town next to me that had a fucking just one of the most amazing, life changing record stores in my lifetime.
Yeah.
To be able to just like everything and have the kid that was there just lead me in the right direction to finding all new types of stuff and punk and music. And I remember the day he gave me an all CD, and
Oh, nice.
I was like, what's this? He's like, it's Bill Stevenson from the Descendants and Black Flag, and he's they got this new thing. It's basically the Descendants but with a different singer. It was Roy Smalley, and I heard it, and I was like, oh my god, like there's so much out there. And then like it just led to everything else that I could get my hands on, which was so underground. It was like Big Drill Car and bands like that I was just like, oh, there is a crazy world out there, and I just need to keep going and finding it. How were you able to do that in a small town?
Uh, so there was this thing back in the day called MySpace, right? And you could,
It's still
you could
there.
add, yeah, it's still there, but
Yeah.
nobody,
Justin Timberlake owns it.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
I thought Jack Black or somebody owned it or something before. Uh, yeah. Well, I love me some Justin Timberlake. He's a cool guy. But no, it was actually. Um, oh wait, let's rewind a bit. Sorry, I got distracted. um, go back to what the actual question was. Sorry about that. I'm trying
No,
to do something else in the middle of this.
no worries. Yeah. So how were you able to find all that
Oh
stuff in a
yeah.
small town?
So MySpace, yeah, that's what I was talking about. Okay, so you used to be able to add bands, things like that. So I met this kid that he kind of like dressed a little funny, and we were skateboarding at a church that had like some brands they set out to bring in all the devil children and try to get them all Christified.
Here's your
So
free
we
Bible. Welcome.
Yeah, they were like, "Here's the skate ramp, kids, come on, get it." So, no, I found some other weird looking kid there, and he was like, "Yeah," and he's had me on MySpace, and he was like, "Look at these bands that I found, and like they'll be your friend too. They're in my top 8." So, we started talking, and I found a band called the Wishy Wers from a town called Paducah, Kentucky, and lied to my mom about going to stay at his house. He lied to his mom about staying at my house, and we borrowed someone else's car. And drove an hour out, and then I started meeting some people in this really small scene in Kentucky, but that's where I saw my first punk rock band, and they were like, they're like, "Hey, some young kids and like want to come see a punk rock show. This is weird." And fast forward 2 years later, that scene was like 100 plus people having seen the show, and from that it was just like meeting people, them passing on CDs and me, we passing on CDs to each other. Everybody kind of had like a stack of mixed CDs in our car, and a lot of times we didn't know who the bands were. So I just kind of just rocked the sound for it forever, and then like a decade later, I'm jamming something, and I'm like, oh, it's that band. So a lot of it had to do with mixed CDs and just trying to meet people and the weird, obscure genre that we had going on for Northwest Tennessee and South Kentucky.
Now, how did you get into playing music? Did it start with the quintessential piano lessons that mom forced you into, or
I wish. Yeah. No, I didn't have any. I've never had a music teacher. I've never had lessons of any sort, really. I did have music in high school where I played a recorder and I played tenor sax, a jazz band that pretty much just let me improvise on drums, bass, and guitar just by ear. So I didn't actually learn anything in that either. But yeah, so I kind of just got a guitar when I was 11, 12 years old and trying to play along to the stereo and trying to learn stuff where my fingers go and trying to figure out why my fingers wouldn't move. And eventually, one of those kids from that skateboard night or some of the people that I met in Paducah uh, ended up being like, "Yo, I got a drum set. Let's come over and jam." And like, "Yeah, let's pretend we're in a band and stuff." So did that for a while, and when I turned 18, I bounced down south to Memphis. I lived there for a little bit, and I just kind of kept just trying to learn new instruments as I was in high school. I was barely saw anybody, and if I was, they were musicians or punks. So I kind of locked myself in a room, and the music shop that we had that lasted till I was 17 before it went out of business. He would just let me take home stuff and try to learn it because he knew I was trying to just had the thirst for it, and shop was closing because no one was into music in that town.
so? Do you remember when you first played in front of strangers?
Uh, oh man, yeah. I played a gay bar, and it was actually it was a gay bar, more of a lesbian bar, and it was pretty cool. And I've hung out there with those people. I know those people before, but I was sitting down to play drums for a rockabilly band that hit me up. Like, I was like, "Yeah, you can play drums. Can you learn our set in like a week?" And I was like, "Yeah." That's kind of where it started. Me always getting my calls of, "Hey, can you learn our set in a week?" But yeah, I just remember being like terrified, and there was not even anybody there. So it actually had stage fright for a long time. My first like couple shows, especially my first year shows and stuff, and now I just started playing so much, and it was kind of hard for people to believe that I had stage fright. But that's why I would like no less than like a couple shots of whiskey before I get on stage in front of people. Um, now I don't drink at all. because of the shit I went through last year with my stomach. But yeah, that's a whole other story.
Yeah, and I mean, for people that don't know, you were rushed in emergency surgery, right? You had an ulcer.
Yeah, ruptured on the inside of me. And yeah, I've had it for years, and I just kind of like guess I wasn't taking it seriously, but also my drinking was really bad at that time. For a bunch of depression and everything else I was going through at that moment, right when quarantine kicked off, and also post tour depression when you get back from a tour. But we got back from tour on the day of the lockdown for Illinois whenever it started, March 15th, March 16th, I think. We literally were like being followed by the coronavirus all the way back to Illinois. Really, really weird. So a bunch of stuff was going on, and I just kind of drank about it, and it wasn't good for my body. So overdid it.
Yeah, it's unfortunately it never is. I mean, I took a period in my life where it was becoming a problem and a hindrance in what I was doing, and I literally had to sit down and in my head I was like, I gotta stop. And like for 4.5 years, I didn't touch anything. I didn't change. Like I was making sure I wasn't changing who I was at the same time, because usually, people start to notice differences. And the only difference that people started to tell me was, yeah, the difference is now you can drive home every night fine. So, and, it kind of just started to teach myself how to be responsible with it. And then when I was able to pick up a drink again afterwards, I learned that, oh, I can have one beer at a bar. That's a pot. That's pot. You could do that. I didn't know you could do that. I thought that was outlawed.
Right.
It was always two drink minimum.
For sure. And I mean, I was always just like, sneaking booze throughout my day. It got for a couple of years, it was just like a normal thing for me to wake up, liquor, drink. Can't get out of bed without liquor, and it was like that on and off for a good 4 years, like really bad alcoholism. But I don't know. One day I think it would be cool again to chill out and go have a drink if my body allows it. And over the past year, all the work I've done for my health, I'm pretty sure I could totally handle drinking again. I'm just at the moment, I'm just having too much fun actually, not you know drinking throughout my day. It'd be cool to maybe use that as a way to relax with friends or something, but not really being social. So I just smoke a lot of weed instead, and that's great with me.
Well, yeah, that's the new drug of choice that doesn't have the same effects as what alcohol will do to your body. So
yeah.
it's finally just got it here in our state to be approved. So that's
what state are you in?
New Jersey.
Oh, okay, wow. I didn't think New Jersey would ever do something like that.
Yeah, well, we didn't think so for a while either. It's just unfortunate for my day job. I still can't do something like that, even though I've been told from the VA and shit that you should probably smoke weed. I'm like, well, I can't because my company won't let me. So,
yeah, my mom still lives in Kentucky, and she deals with that with the VA as well. And they just keep trying to pump her with all these pills, and it's I've been trying to help her get off of all that stuff too. But that's all the VA really wants to do for her down there.
Yeah, no, it's they try to give me a bunch of crap, and like the first thing that I came home and I told my wife, I'm like, yeah, here's what they want to give me, and like she like looked, did her deep Google search on everything. She's like, there's no fucking way I'm letting you take any of this.
Yeah,
I was like, all right.
Yeah, a lot of it's like I could definitely see the effects that it's had on my mother, and it's very sad. As far as like what I remember, just even a couple of years ago, to how she's responding to things now. I feel like it's as a side effect of all these drugs on by the VAs.
Yeah. Well, let's get off of our downward spiral.
Yeah.
We're going on. People are gonna be, what the fuck happened to this music podcast? They're talking about drugs now. Okay.
Oh shit.
So I want to figure out how you kept going and how you were able to. I mean, you're a full touring musician before everything shut down, and how you go from the first time you play live at a gay bar in a rockabilly band to just constantly touring. How did you progress like that? How did it just go small to big in a pretty, short period of time.
I mean, I always kind of been a very busy person as far as like trying to make things happen. When I moved down to Memphis, I started the University of Memphis down there. I was going to college, um, and I actually lost all my scholarships my second semester because I skipped the first 2 weeks of music theory class. Um, and apparently there was part of the syllabus about if I miss 4 consecutive classes, I get a zero. So he gave me a zero for that class, and that dropped my GPA so fast and so quickly. I lost all my scholarships. I had to drop out of music school and everything. And I wasn't able to apply to get my scholarships back for 2 years. So I just kind of gave up on the idea of school. Um, and then, so it was kind of fight or flight instinct kicked in for what I should do. Is like, do I move back to my nowhere town? Do I stay here? Like, what do I do? And I just kind of started couch surfing around with some people that I was meeting at the venues that were along the college campus, and then I met some other people. And then I DJ'd some shows. I used to be a DJ as well, including strip club DJ. That I did that for about 4 years in between all the punk rock stuff as well. It was a really weird life.
Yeah.
um,
You got to be sick of Motley Crue by now, then.
Right? It is kind of weird. But so anyway, after that, I started that booking company about a year out of college, and then I just started being a contact pretty much for touring bands that were trying to play the city. And I started that when I was like 19, and I was still playing shows in dive bars before like I was supposed to be, you know. Um, and then they had my 21st birthday party like 3 different times at 3 different bars there. uh, but they didn't know. They were just like, oh yeah, he books bands here. Like nobody questioned my age. Just thought I looked like a 14-year-old all the time, which I kind of do. But so that just kind of kept progressing. And then from all the bands coming through, I showed up a good time. I wasn't a jerk, wasn't a dick. There was no like crazy monetary things. It was whatever door money came in went to the touring band, and the local bands knew that they were playing for free. Like they would sell their own merch or whatever, and the bars would hook them up with free drinks, and that's just how we party. Uh, but then it got to where I was booking, 5, 6 shows a week through multiple bars, and I'm handling like folk shows and all this other stuff. But by not showing them, by being a great, host or whatever to them, even if it was like a small turnout, still having a good time, uh, I maintain friendships with those people majority of the time, especially with Facebook. That came out after MySpace. In the fucking, um, so whenever it was like booking, someone hits you up on Facebook, they're like, yeah, I know someone in this town. So whenever I was like, I don't want to book anymore, I want to play shows. Who wants someone that can play all these instruments? I kind of put myself out there on the internet. It was like reverse booking. So bands that were going on tour that their drummer couldn't get off for dishwashing or something, or from their dead end job and they didn't want to leave it, or their girlfriend didn't want them to go and I had to jump in last minute. Like I just started getting calls like that, and so it became like a thing, just being a musician on call for some of the bands that I booked over the time, as well as whenever I was touring with those bands, helping them book shows in other cities because of the shows that I was booking for. It's it all goes into a giant pie of, punk rock musicians, DIY musicians reaching out, knowing each other. There's this crazy huge circuit of once you play with the band, it's like that opens up a million doors for and a lot of people don't really understand that and take that for granted when they're playing shows, especially new touring bands, or local bands that never been on tour and they're hosting for a touring band. It's like, hey, why would you throw that connection away that you could have, like some band from California comes and plays your town in Vermont or something. Have you ever wanted to go to California? They'll probably let you sleep on their floor like you did.
Yeah.
So in most cases, I just have to say for the sake of unity, that's where everything comes from and that's where everything owns in.
Yeah, so you're basically a hired gun.
Yeah. And I thought that was a cool thing to be, whoever, I guess. I don't know, but I really kind of wanted to make my own music on the side, so that's why I started writing for trying to get by in between all these projects. It was just kind of some notepad I had in the back of the van for myself that I didn't do anything with for a while.
Yeah, well, I mean, I gotta say, for what you do, I mean, it's got to be pretty awesome too. Because as a musician, things can get become stagnant when you're in the same place, the same time with the same band over and over again. It can just, you kind of rest on your laurels after a while. But being a hired gun and playing with so many different people and going so many different places, it's got a, like, it's a constant refresh for you, I would think.
It's a constant challenge as well. And in most cases, it's like I have like a week or two to learn the songs. Like when I toured with Some Kind of Nightmare, for example, I came in off a megabus and they picked me up in the middle of the night, and we came into I think it was their mom's garage in Ohio, and they had like a little drum set there, and they put a blanket over it, and then we just kind of like played acoustically with our electric guitars, and I played with drums with like my hands on the drums, and that's how we did our first band practice for about an hour, and then we left the next morning, and I went on tour with them for 9 months. So like,
Wow.
it all comes down to like stuff like that, but it's under the pressure. Like it sounds impossible, it sounds crazy, but I don't know. I kind of like the pressure of that happening, and whenever it pulls itself off, it just feels much more fulfilling. And I'd like to be, more prepared, especially now that I've had so much. I've learned so much from that and all the mistakes that happened with not being prepared. Um, uh, but I feel like I'm much more prepared as a person now. I have a lot more uh, like strategy to going into learning the band songs to tour with.
Yeah, and I mean that's not only learning. I mean you're learning. You're playing other people's songs that you're not ready for. I mean, it prepares you for just everyday life and how to approach things. And you have to be a pretty strong fucking person to be able to do that, to rise up to the challenge of somebody calling you saying, hey, we need a guitarist, we're leaving on tour in 2 days, learn our songs, and you being able to say, let's fucking do it. All right.
Yeah. I mean, I like to think of myself as a strong person, but in most cases, it's just the failure, the fear of failure. I'd rather, you know, say like, what if I said no to those things, like, and I got to where I feel like I was missing a lot of opportunities in my life as well, right around before that time. So I just started being a yes man, in other words, but feeling like if I was missing out so much on life. So I wanted to start doing everything I can. And I feel like, especially over the past year for quarantine, I've been able to learn a lot more hobbies and stuff like that, and techniques, and like screen printing, and music production and everything else as far as that, and playing keyboard, organ, and all that. I'm just trying to push myself to be better, but mainly for the sake of or for the fear of, what if I didn't?
Well, it's the fear of that I always have is just standing still. I
Yeah.
don't ever want to stand still because the world is still rotating. So that means something's passing me by. So I have a lot of people make fun of me. I have so many hobbies and things that I like to do. And my wife makes fun of me all the time. I have ants in my pants. I can never sit still. I always got to be doing something.
That's me. Yeah.
I don't like to watch TVs. Hey, let's watch this show together. No, I don't want to fucking watch TV. I'm gonna go do something and be productive and make something and create something or do something that doesn't mean I'm sitting on my ass, watching some dumb fucking show that means nothing.
Yeah. So for me, like like people ask me like, "Oh, you haven't seen this movie? You haven't seen this movie or this show?" In most cases, I'm like, how can you stare at a box for that long? Like, there's a whole world out there. Like, I almost feel the same way about books sometimes, but I know books aren't as bad for you. But yeah, I definitely got to stay more busy. I feel like I can watch sitcoms or cartoons. Cartoons I love, and I feel like I've seen a majority of everything that I like watching. So now I just kind of put it on the background while I do stuff. Uh, but yeah, when it comes down to like paying attention to like a 2 hour long movie, it's so hard for me to sit down and just stare at such a small box. I'm like, there's a whole world going on outside there.
Yeah, hanging out with my friends and they start talking about this new show is on Netflix and like everyone's watching it. I'm like, I have no fucking clue what you guys are talking about. They're like, oh, you got to watch it. I'm like, I'm never going to watch it, right? Like, I don't have to because I'm not going to. But
I feel like the first couple months of quarantine was like that for me, where I was like, well, I'm going to be like everybody else and start watching Netflix and things. And like, I saw the Tiger King, and after that, I was like, yeah, I feel really dumb. So I kind of stopped.
Dude, you and I are the exact same. That was the first thing I did when quarantine hit. My wife and I were stuck at our
I think
place in
everybody did.
we were stuck at our place in Georgia, and I'm like, all right, everybody's talking about Tiger King. We watched it. I was like, I never want to fucking watch TV again.
Yeah, it kind of made me feel really dumb, especially when they brought it back to be like, they would be like, "Oh, he's actually a piece of shit," and everybody's like, "Oh, what?"
It's like
I
it's
was
like
like,
this.
yeah, it's cool for America to all be involved in something for a minute, but
Yeah,
why did it have to be that?
yeah. It's like the end of Billy Madison. At no point during your speech did you create what could be considered a rational thought. We are all now dumber for listening to you.
Yes. I was like, well, the end of this has got to be awesome, right? There's got to be some huge payoff. And it's like, wow, no.
No,
I
no.
think I just got bed sores and a headache.
Yeah, well, I mean that's most of that shit now that everybody loves all the true crime stuff, which listen, true crime stuff is cool, but it's you waste 2 hours of your life to not find out who fucking did it all the time. So it's, where's the payoff anymore?
Yeah, there was a clip on God, what was it? South Park? It was about fast murder mysteries or something like that, and it was like this man murdered his wife. Was it him? Yes, he did
Yeah.
it. So I was like, oh, cool. I'd much rather watch something like that.
Yeah, well listen, here it is. If a woman goes missing and she's married, the husband did it. I mean,
Yeah,
it's over 3 minutes into it. I can she went missing and she was talking to her friends about divorce. Oh, he did it. Okay, goodbye, good night. We can wrap this up real quick.
like hold on, we need about 2 hours of filler. Maybe he might have done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's just how the human brain works. I'm still trying to figure it out, but it's like my last song. I feel like I finally tapped into something that people like. So as far as music, I don't think those two are relevant. But
No. But when you're creating, if you're on tour so much, I mean, and you're constantly learning other people's stuff, where did you find the time to even just start creating your own music? I mean, I know there's long drives, but I mean, sure, you're not on the Foo Fighters tour bus going anywhere. So how do you find the time to create and think about things for yourself?
well, with this project, it was different writing style for me for sure because it came from the lyrics being written first. So when it came time to make the music, it was just me just trying different things for all the different songs. And like as far as the folk punk album, I wanted to make something that was folk punk. That was it was some of the earlier songs that were done with the full band in Nashville, and but it was done acoustic, just simple one mic in the room, just 4 chord punk songs, and that's how I wanted to start out writing everything, and that was a lot easier to do once I had the verses and the chorus. I just kind of laid out different formulas for everything, but I didn't want it to be a simple, intro, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, outro, like everything pop music. And a majority of music in general, it stayed on that formula for so long. So I've been trying to match things up with multiple verses before a first chorus and throwing in a chorus at the beginning and fading out with like finishing the song formula halfway through and then just having the song just escape into its own thing and just travel on. So I've been experimenting with different things like that, but having the lyrics written separate and finding the music that I'm writing like that matches it, it's more so how I've been going about it this way. But as far as doing it while I'm on the road, the music wasn't really getting done on the road. It was just kind of in my head.
Yeah, so were you writing with harmonies in mind, like with the sound that you're going to create, or were you just sitting down writing? Like when I sit down to write it, it's like I'm writing poetry and then try to figure it out from there.
Almost, but more so it happens when I'm like, I feel like I write my best stuff when I'm not trying to, but if I feel like I'm going through something mentally that's just kind of stressful in any situation or whatever, I can sit down and try to write and it happens. It's just more of a calming thing for me as well. Uh, But whenever I'm like, oh damn, that's a sick line, my dopamine's all filling up. So it's definitely a different style of writing than what I'm normally used to with other bands.
Do you take inspiration from anything when you're writing, musically, like to other bands or musicians, that when you're writing, do you use anything for inspiration?
Uh, well, as far as like favorite bands I've been listening to a lot lately, I mean, that probably had an influence. Big Pairs would be probably one of my favorites. I'm not sure if you know them, the NOLA punk band. They're on Fat Wreck. I hooked them a couple of times, but their sound definitely I really love the way Zach Quinn's lyrics. I didn't know how he actually did it till I bought a vinyl record from him, and I looked at the lyric book to see what the hell he was saying in some of the parts. I realized how his writing style and his structure is also very non-traditional. Uh, so I kind of wanted to go for something along the lines of just non-traditional in that way, and also wordplay from MF Doom, one of my favorites. I was listening to him a lot actually before he passed away, so I'd say he is a big influence as well in the lyrical writing. But as far as the music, I'd say um, there's so many different ska bands coming out right now. Like how am I not like the 1,000th ska band you've interviewed this year? you know, there's so many new ska albums coming out. And I feel like we're all kind of influencing each other, pulling off on each other. Like stupid henchman for sure. The new Days and Days stuff has definitely been playing into it a lot. Uh, so I don't know. I'm a classic Rancid Operation Ivy fan, and everybody can really hear that in the new songs, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, as soon as I heard what was sent to me, oh no, I was like, oh, so we're going old school. This is cool. We're not, and by old school, I don't mean, for people out there, when we talk about ska, Real Big Fish and Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. Not that. We're real ska with a message, because it always had a message, which I think gets lost sometimes when you get those hooky tune ska bands.
Oh yeah,
Like
I feel like lyrically, a lot of bands the past decade have cut down on the lyrical integrity, and I mean, there's been some great stuff that come out in that decade. I'm not knocking it, but I feel like it's much of it being a common thing with the genre of ska and punk rock. It hasn't been as relevant as it has been before.
So if you had to pick, who would be your? I mean, it's going to be tough, but who would you pick for your favorite band of all time, if you had to? If someone had a gun to your head and said,
Oh,
and could tell if you were lying.
oh man, uh, man, that's hard.
It's fine. I have three.
Yeah,
I basically,
okay, if I can do three, that's cool.
yeah, you
It
can do
makes it a
three.
little easier. Uh,
I have three that are my constant. When someone asks, I'm like, it's one of these three, and it depends on the fucking day.
yeah. Okay, let's see. Got Parliament Funk. We got Hairs. No Effects. Of course, Rancid. I can't stop. There's so many different. I have so many different influences for different genres. Like MF Doom, the whole Wu Tang Clan. Uh, I can't really, boil it down to one. Man, that's hard.
That's Hey,
Uh,
you,
but
you gave
I
me
also have
some.
many blues influences. Stevie Ray Vaughan and B.B. King are huge influences on my guitar style playing. Actually, I've been playing blues guitar for about 13 years as well. Um, I don't know. Matt Freeman influences me for bass and on my bass lines. A big Freeman or big Matt Freeman fan. As far as his walking style, that he incorporated in a lot of ska punk songs from the '90s. Um, Jared Nathan from Paris is my favorite all time drummer. um, yeah,
Yeah,
I guess it would probably have to be Paris mentioned like four times in there. So
yeah,
yeah, it would
yeah.
probably be Paris.
Okay. I knew we'd get there at some point, but
Yeah, yeah.
I enjoy learning about the influence you have for each instrument you play, because you don't just play one instrument. So that's awesome.
Oh no, and I don't know why I didn't say this. My favorite band of all time is the Slackers.
Okay.
Yeah, I already had that one prepared in the back of my mind. I totally forgot for some reason. Too much pressure, man. Yeah, no, I would have to say, yeah, the Slackers, New York City, ska. It's down like by far my favorite songwriters, Vic Ruggiero, um, and everything that he's done, like all of his solo projects as well. His voice, his songwriting, hands down, it'll be Slackers and Pickers.
All right, there's your answer then. Great. Do you have anything that you listen to that somebody would be really shocked by? Like we call it a guilty pleasure. Like, is it like, do you have this unfound love for BTS somewhere in your soul, or is there something that you would be? And listen, I'm going to preface this like I say it all the time. I don't care who you are, how old you are. I say it too. I own everything I listen to, but there's that 1 millisecond when your buddy gets in the car or comes over and you're listening to something and they just go, "What the fuck are you listening to?" Where the millisecond is like, you cringe for that 1 millisecond and you're like, "Fuck you, dude. It's amazing."
Yeah. But it'll probably have to be a lot of most R&B. I have a huge place in my heart for 90s, 80s R&B kind of stuff. Aaliyah, things like that. And of course, I do love a lot of like 2000s pop for some reason. It just sticks in my head. I've done a ton of really weird cover songs too that I'm releasing eventually, where it's was it not so awesome covers of things, or not so awesome covers of songs that I think are great, or something like that. It's a working title. But yeah, so like for example, on there, I have like a Billie Eilish cover of one of her jazz songs from like 5 years ago. She was like 16. So I do like a lot of the pop stuff on the side, as far as mainly the feminine side of pop. I love female singers. I have a huge hole in my heart for it. So I can't really pick one, but yeah, it would have to be, female pop singers and R&B. I'm also a huge funk fan and disco fan. Not really so much disco, but funk, neo soul.
I almost hung up when you said disco, so I was. But yeah, I have a huge place in my heart for female singers too. There's something about when you find a good female vocal, it just it does something to you, whether it's in a pop song or whether it's in a love song or a serenade. There's just when there's, finding a, punk female singer in a,
Brody
great.
Dale has broken my heart so many times.
It's crazy. I remember the first punk female singer from Tilt. I don't know if you remember.
Oh yeah, Tilt.
I mean, I heard that. I think that was on Lookout when they first came out, and I was just like, "Wait, women can do this too?" I'm like, and it was amazing for me, and I was like, I gotta find more female, punk singers, and that's when Bad Cop came out. I'm like, fuck yes, yeah. I'm like, yes, keep going.
Oh yeah, and I remember listening to on Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, I think it was, where they had, or 4, I think. Yeah, they had Angry Amputees on there, one of Safety D's older bands.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's why I remember hearing her voice. It's probably like one of my earliest memories of a chick singing in a punk band. But then I remember I had a Distiller CD, and I didn't have the case to it. My buddy like let me borrow it, and I just had the CD, and for months, I thought Brody Dale was a dude because I didn't know those chicks that could sound like that.
Yeah,
And
that
yeah,
rough
and I fell
sound.
in love with her for. I still am, and I hate that she's with that douchebag from Queens of the Stone Age. Come on, dude.
So what do you if you look in your crystal ball, what do you foresee in the coming future in trying to get by? What do you see for you doing? Or do you want to tour on it, get some musicians to do what you do, or hey, here's the songs I wrote, learn the shit and let's go?
Pretty much, like I'd like to, but it's hard to say anything for the future with the pandemic and how everything's going. But I do have a lineup in Nashville still. My drummer there, and my bass player is apparently moved to Florida, but he did one run with me just because he wanted to. But he says he's retired from touring years ago. He just actually he had his 50th birthday like right before the last tour. That was 2 years ago. He's a great bass player, Steve Merkel. He's also played in the No Loves and a couple other bands between St. Petersburg and Nashville. But then I have San Diego lined up as well with a great drummer there, Adam Pride. And then my stand-up bass player, Kyle Hansberger, he plays stand-up bass versions of all the songs before they started getting more of the hip-hop feel to them.
Nice.
So I'd like to still go back and record and tour with those people, but I also kind of want to have another regional lineup for this area. And I've got a couple people in mind that are super eager to go back and just tour with me that have played shows with me in the past in other cities. So I feel like I have a ton of people that are willing to do what I did just because they see it's possible. It's like, hey, if that guy can do it, I can do it. And who else to trust but the dude that did it? So I'd like to go back to touring a lot, but I don't see it being as much of a. I feel like I'll be putting a lot more thought into his in less DIY style as I was doing before, and take it more seriously, pretty much. But between that and touring with Voice of Addiction, we were doing 3 to 4 tours a year. That were all covered in different regions of the United States. So touring between all that and whatever gigs, hopefully I can pick up between the tours so I can stay busy. I'm looking forward to, but as of right now, it's really hard to judge between how many venues we've lost in this country to like the division that's happened among people over between social media, especially in the last 4 years, the Trump years, like that seriously brought out like a whole division among people that I didn't think could be divided anymore. Before it was like us against them. Now it's us against them and them and them and them, and they're all against us.
Yeah, well,
So
we're in the tribalism age right now, where people just try to find their tribe and fucking stick with it. Where if you think someone holds your same opinion, you guys glue on together. And I mean, that's my biggest fucking thing in being on this world for 43, almost 44 years now. My big thing is I've never really seen it or experienced it to a point where you can't have a conversation with people anymore, which is what I miss. And I miss being afraid of giving my true feelings and my opinion for the backlash that I may receive because I may offend someone because I say something truthful that they don't believe in.
Yeah, I mean, social media definitely has like changed the game on just the social structure of society itself. I feel like in the past 4 or 5 years, it's incredibly influential to. I mean, as it's incredibly dangerous. I feel like, and that's why I talk about it a lot on the record. And I actually have some more songs that are on the full length that's coming out later this year. A lot of it focuses on the effect of social media and how it's affected, people's minds and how people react to things, and just how it's like, turned people completely into something that they never would have been probably before. With with social media that have the influence that does today.
Yeah, and I mean, I grew up in the era of getting into a fight in school with somebody because we didn't like each other, and that was just fine.
Yeah, and then you're fine. Yeah,
and that's one of my biggest things too about it is it gives everybody an opportunity who has something to say and it mean absolutely fucking nothing. It gives them a platform to do that, and opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one and they all stink. But it's when people latch on to other people's opinions or shit on, it's just, I fucking hate social media. I hate it.
Yeah.
We live in that world too where, listen, no one's allowed to fail. No one's allowed to make a mistake. If you,
and this is how you're supposed to look. These are the foods you're supposed to eat, and like, and it's just gotten to the point of like, if you're not doing what people are doing, where you're seeing it being fed to you so much, it's like, wow, you're never going to be that unless you try to live up to be these people that you're watching in front of your screen. But you don't realize that those people are just like you. They're just sitting at home with their phone, So especially apps like TikTok is like, I've seen it, personally, like with other people and some friends, like how it's like their significant others, for example, like just turned off to the entire world. They don't like do anything anymore. Their whole life is just sit down and watch TikTok, and like they don't care about their health. They don't care about progressing anything else in life. It's just like this app is just feeding you. It's like and giving you notifications when you're not looking at your phone to keep looking at it. And it's crazy how all this stuff was just like totally illegal and just like, hey, you can breach all this data, you can leak all this data, we can sell your phone number to a million companies, you know. And also, whenever you click accept, you're just letting them film you whenever they want, you know, straight through your phone. It's kind of wild that all this is just so wildly accepted now, and I feel like it's because people are addicted to the social media in its sense that they don't see it as anything wrong because they're going to deal with it regardless. They get their dopamine feel from it. And I don't know, there's just stuff like that that I talk about on the songs, and I feel like it just needs to be said and needs to spark the discussion that it's not healthy, and people need to talk about it, and possibly about stepping away or limiting their screen time. Maybe, you know, I hate to sound like that. I feel like a grandpa, you know.
No, listen, I completely agree, man. It really is. It gets to that point where, you know, I've seen it where someone wakes up, first thing they do is go to their phone. Like, for fuck's sake, man. Like, I'm very
I catch
lucky
myself doing it. Like
Yeah,
I'll get up and I'll be on my phone for like 30 minutes in bed, and I'm like, "What the fuck am I doing?" And then I like hide my phone from myself for the rest of the day.
yeah, and I mean, I'm very lucky. I grew up with Atari. Okay, that was my first video game, so I got to see the progression of where the world. Like, I do believe that I've lived in the best time because I've got to see from nothing to how far we can come and how far we can go. But we reached a point where I think we got to a place where it's not very, very healthy for, you know, the mental state of things and for the way we cover things and the way we see things and the way we talk about things. Because just like anything else, when you saw shit on TV, it was all fake. And when you see shit on social media, it's all fucking fake too. So don't try to live your life by that.
Oh yeah, of course. And you know, it's wish people could step back and look at it. But I mean, as I see it, like whenever I was younger, I'll be like, I look forward to being in the future so much because of like, you know, things like the Jetsons and flying cars and things. It was mainly because I was like, man, technology is going to be so advanced. You know, was my thoughts as a kid, like that, like life's going to be so easy, and all these things that are hard to me now are going to be easy. And it's like now they just made it in the sense of growing and expanding technology for the sake of making things easy, and that's kind of taken the integrity out of a lot of everyday work for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, there's a lot of good things that come from technology and a lot of bad things. We have to learn to figure out which is which, and instead of seeing what the world could have been with the Jetsons, instead we kind of fell into Mike Judge's movie Idiocracy. So,
Or like what's actually happening in the Jetson, and as to why they have to be that far above the city,
yeah,
which apparently is because of corporations, what was it, polluting the earth so much that like if they go below that height of where their houses are, they can't breathe and they die. That's apparently the gruesome dark history behind the Jetsons.
we are diving into some amazing shit here.
Oh yeah, this podcasting thing's cool.
So, if here's a self-reflective question, if you were to no longer exist as a musician or an artist, what would you most like to be remembered for?
For just doing what I did, you know? And someone that makes music, and someone that toured, someone that traveled, and someone that was always just trying to be a good person and meet with everybody. I just want to have as many friends as I can, man. I'm just a positive, happy-go-lucky dude these days.
Well, that's good to hear. Glad everything worked out for you.
So far, but knock on wood, life is a tendency to screw you up.
It
Right,
does.
least expected.
Listen, and when it comes down to it, all you have to worry about is taking tiny steps forward. Everybody looks to make gigantic leaps, but you only have to. The first step in life is failure. So instead of getting upset when you fail at something, you have to flip it and learn to make it a teaching experience and move forward, because life comes at you fast, and you're never, I don't care what you think, you're never going to be ready for everything that comes your way.
I think that was one of the hardest lessons I had to accept too growing up, because I'm still fairly young. I mean, I'm turning 29 next week, but I feel like I'm still, I've lived my life mostly as a kid, just bouncing around doing things. But yeah, that was one of the hardest things for me to accept, is just to realize that you're not going to be perfect at anything, and you're going to have to do things a lot of times until you understand them. But the moments that you waste not learning something, you just push yourself to learn one small thing a day, or just try to get better at one small thing a day. It just makes you feel more fulfilled. Like I don't have to reach into my phone to get that fulfillment that I got from doing something that I pushed myself to actually do with my own free will.
Yeah, I have said it here many a times, and it's my mantra, and it has been for quite a long time, since my grandfather instilled it in me as a very young child. If you go through a day without learning something new, you wasted an entire day.
Exactly. And that's super smart stuff to go by for sure. I just kind of want to have I want to, with this music, I just want to push, people to get to thinking again. That's the big thing about the lyrical wordplay, is I want people to pay attention to what I'm saying. That's why I do some of the weird words and some of the weird turnarounds and stuff throughout the EP, and different song structures, because I feel like, if I just keep doing that basic song structure, or that, it's just going to blend in with other things. But I want people to I want to spark conversation in my songs and the things that I talk about, so people can kind of step back and look away from it. And it's so meta that I have to promote it on social media, and I hate it,
Yeah.
But I'm having a lot of great help from Havoc Underground. They've helped me out so much with reaching new people and stuff with my music, because I get sick if I sit on Facebook too long trying to get people to be like, "Yo, check out my music, please."
Yeah, it's tough. It really is tough, and those guys at Havoc do a great job. Jake does a great job over there.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to keep you very much longer. So we end our show very simply with our weekly threes. I'd like to find out 3 things you're listening to right now that you would like someone to check out. It can be new, it can be old, it could be an audiobook, it could be a different podcast. I hope you don't mention another podcast on this one, but it's fine. But 3 things you're listening to right now that you'd like people to check out.
Everybody should go check out the new Joystick record. It's Bad Time Records right now. That's killing it, the game. I really like it. And Paul and everybody's doing great with it. Paul's been sober for like 4 years now. He's coming up on a lot that he's overcome as well. Propaganda. Everybody should be listening to Propaganda. And Charles Bradley. I'm listening to a lot of Charles Bradley lately. He's a soul singer that didn't get discovered until like the mid 2000s or so. If you ever watched American Dad, he's the soul singing goat Krampus. His singing on there. He's like, yeah, just
very underrated show, American Dad.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot of records with what is it? The street band, the Mannheim Street Band. It's just really great funk soul, classic sounds of that stuff for sure. But yeah, Propaganda, and definitely that new Joystick record. And there's so many good ska bands coming out right now. To say, like, if you're hearing about a ska record dropping, you should probably check it out, because seems to be the year for it.
That's awesome. Hopefully, we'll get our listeners to check out your threes and all of your stuff as well. I'm going to give my threes right now. My 3 for this week are Fire Sale. Fire Sale is term gets thrown around a lot. Supergroup, but it is former members of the Ataris. No Use for Name, Fun Size, Protest the Hero.
Ooh, wow, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Got a couple tracks out now, and put out a couple tracks, and they get signed immediately. So that's all you need to know how good they are. Number 2 is Time Spent Driving. They were another group that had a bunch of guys that got together. This is the early 2000s, but former members of Good Riddance. And they were kind of emo, but they dropped an album in 2020. They hadn't put out an album for 14 years, and it's fucking dynamite. So I want everybody to check them out. And last but not least, I guess I have a theme this week for bands forming other groups, but one that I absolutely loved, and they just repressed it on a 10-inch at Fat Records, and I got to get it and remembered how much I loved it. Band Guns and Wankers. If you're ever a punk fan of Snuff and the Wild Hearts, it's the guys from Snuff and the Wild Hearts created a band called Guns and Wankers. They only put out one thing, but it's straight in your face. 1994 Fat Records punk rock.
Right on. Fat Records is hands down one of my favorites. I mean, it's just too classic. I love all the stuff on there.
Yeah, I mean, listen. When I grew up, it was the label game. You looked for labels, and if a band came out on a label that you liked, you pretty much knew
everything on that label is going to be awesome. Right?
Yeah, and you brought up Propaganda. That's where they were Fat Records, and they first came out and still doing it. So
yeah, some of the coolest songs ever on guitar. Crazy wild guitar riffs. I love it.
Yeah, and I mean, listen. John Sampson went on to create the Weaker Thins, who is another band that I absolutely fucking loved.
Oh, yeah.
But so at this time, Mr. Miller, why don't you tell everybody how to find your stuff, find out what you're doing, how to get in touch with you, all your social media stuff. Why don't you throw it out there now so everybody can find out?
All right. Yeah, just keep in mind, Trying to Get By. It's one word. When just typing in on anything, it should pull it up. It's on social media, anything you go for, Facebook, Instagram. I don't have a Twitter. I don't think it really matters that much yet. YouTube, there's a YouTube channel that also has all my uploads from DistroKid for all the songs. There's a couple music videos out there as well, the ones that I made myself besides this. And let's see. Yeah, iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, everything pretty much. You just type in Trying to Get By, one word.
Awesome. Well, Tyler, thank you so much for being here this week. Really appreciate you. Appreciate your artistry. We wish nothing but the best for you in the future. And
I appreciate it. It's a fun time, and it's great talking to you.
You too, man. So everybody, go check out Trying to Get By and have a great fucking time.
Woo!
Thanks again for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HiddenTracks99. Also, send all your submissions to myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Tune in next week. You may find your new favorite band. And don't forget to go out and have a great fucking time.